What's up everyone, Sean Count Blackearth here today with an album review, this time of the 2014 Prophecy Productions release of Shelter by Alcest. If you are not familiar with Alcest, they were a post-shoegaze black metal band, and on this album they have moved forward into a more post-rock direction. And I gotta say, the band's first three albums and EP and even demo are absolutely fantastic. I'm a big fan of those albums, and I absolutely worship Alcest de Lune. It is a phenomenal album from start to finish. So when I heard that there was a new Alcest, I became very excited, especially since Les Voyages wasn't as good as Alcest de Lune. It still had some amazing, shining moments on that album that really made it stand out as being a really good record and had the potential to become one of my favorite Alcest albums. And the more I listen to it, I find myself enjoying it more and more. And guys, I gotta say I've been let down by Alcest, and I never, ever thought I would say that. Before people say to me like, hey, you're not enjoying this because it's not a black metal album, I knew that going into this. And that's not why I don't care for this album that much. The reason why I don't really care for it is it's poorly executed. The idea is great. I love the non-black metal elements of Alcest. I think they're absolutely great. But what I love Alcest for is the dark, absolutely dark and just beautiful sort of atmosphere. And I feel like it's completely devoid of that. Instead, the atmosphere has been replaced with a more emotional side, which can be good, but quite frankly, if it's not done right, what's the point? And I feel like it wasn't done right. On past Alcest albums, I found myself finding guitar parts here and there that I could really grasp onto, hold, and really remember, and have that be a part of my listening experience, part of my enjoyment of the album, being these catchy parts that are extremely memorable. And I can recall all those just like that. This album, I'm really struggling finding one part, let alone every song, to have a riff like that. There's nothing for me to grasp onto. There's nothing that really grasps onto me. Nothing grabs me and holds me for my attention. It's a tough album for me to get through simply because of how boring I feel like the guitar work is. And at the points when the guitar work is good and has the potential to be a catchy part, the drums come in and the drums are doing things that don't really work. It's kind of a mishmash. And I get what they're trying to do, and I respect them for doing it. But I feel like this is 3 huge steps back for them. This is just setting them back like you wouldn't believe. And it really disappoints me to say it because, as I said, I love Alcest. But there's just something about it, guys, that feels just really forced. It's a genuine album, and I'm not saying that they did this out of trying to cash in on a post-rock trend, which is kind of a new sort of uprising I'm noticing becoming more and more popular. Maybe it's because this genre has my attention more than it has in the past, but this isn't one of those kind of trend-hopping sort of things that Alcest is doing. This is very genuine, and I don't want to get any confusion into that at all. With that said, I feel like a lot of it was forced in terms of, we gotta write an album, and this is the direction we want. Instead of letting it flow, I feel like they kind of just were like, well, we gotta remain in this sort of box of, this is post-rock and this isn't. And I don't like that. I feel like the past albums really had this element to them where they weren't trying to stick with one particular sound. It was kind of like, here is what we thought of, and this is what we wrote, and this is the result. And I love that. I don't like forced writing. I don't like anything that has that sort of super forced writing to it. I like natural flow, and I feel like this doesn't have that. The concept is absolutely phenomenal. I've always loved Alcest de Lune, not only for the amazing music on it, but really the oceanic sort of concept behind it. I love the ocean. I love just looking out and seeing nothing but water. I love that. It's one of the most beautiful and breathtaking things you can ever see. And I love the concept of it, and I really wish I loved this album. Now, I don't want to say that there's nothing good about this album, because I'd be lying to you straight up, and one of the first and major things that come to mind are the vocals. The vocals are absolutely fantastic. I love the sound of his voice. He's always been one of my favorite singers, and quite frankly, on this album, he does one of the best performances I've ever heard, and I love that. It's a really, really good sound that has always worked for Alcest, and in terms of vocal performance-wise, this is absolutely fantastic. Once again, my gripe, nothing for me to grasp onto. There's always vocal lines on past albums that I would remember. I'm not really picking up on any that's kind of sticking with me. And I understand that might even be the point of it, but this is why it bothers me, is I miss that element. Another thing that's really good about this album is the production. The production is absolutely spectacular. It's very, very clean. It's crystal clear. There's not a lot of grit, but that said, it really works for what they're trying to go for. So what they're going for, they hit the nail on the head, and I have all the props and respect for them in the world, because that sounds perfect for them. Another thing that is very good is, I gotta say this, even though I don't like how the songs themselves flow, the album has very good flow to it. So as a whole piece of music, a whole piece of art, this album is very well constructed. I just feel like they tried to limit themselves too much instead of going for whatever they could with the black metal sort of elements. They kind of just forced themselves to write post-rock, but that said, they did it well enough to the point where the album flowed good. Nothing really felt out of place. Nothing seemed to interrupt the flow of the album, and I do like that a lot. And there are some elements that I do find myself enjoying just a little bit more with each listen, but I still find myself growing incredibly bored with it. And that pains me to say, because I love Alcest. So guys, as much as I hate to do this, I'm going to give this album a 5.5 out of 10. It's not a bad album, but for me personally, it's a huge letdown, and quite frankly, I feel like it could have been well executed considering how good the post-rock elements were in their past material. This is a letdown. So 5.5 out of 10, guys. If you've heard this, let me know what you think. And that's it. If you like this album, definitely buy it. In fact, I still might buy it out of hopes that I will enjoy it. I've had this promo for about 2 months now, and it's slowly growing onto me. But I feel like I have enough of a grasp on it to say it's not really my cup of tea. But if you like it, definitely pick this up. The box set version is absolutely amazing. If I could find that cheap enough, damn it, I'll probably buy it because it's so nice looking. But definitely support these guys if you like it. And definitely let me know what you think. So 5.5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. And as always, keep it metal.